We've been taught everything except how to be human. Welcome to Human School, where remarkable people turn raw, unfiltered experience into practical wisdom. I'm Miles Edcox, and this podcast was born from the belief that you don't graduate from being human. You just get more honest about the lessons. If you're ready to stop performing your life and start participating in it, you're in the right place. This is Human School, where we finally learn what matters most. Every now and then, you meet someone who can hold sorrow in one hand and joy in the other and not let go of either. Annie F. Downs is one of these people. Annie has built a network and written New York Times bestseller books. She's launched award-winning podcasts. But what I admire most is your posture. You don't clean up the mess before you share it. You honor what stays private and you let some things stay personal. And when it's time, you bring your public voice with integrity, always. You call yourself a trusted bridge, a bridge towards faith, toward community, towards the next true thing in your story. Today on Human School, we circle up with my friend Annie F. Downs to talk about what it means to chase joy without defying grief and why both belong in the same story.
Wow.
Welcome, my friend.
What a kind introduction. Thank you for reading that in front of me. That is better than I deserve, but thank you. I really appreciate that.
Kind of hard to keep brief because I could go off the cuff and talk about you for 2 pages worth. We've had the luxury of being acquaintances and friends, and by proximity, we both move pretty fast. We don't spend a lot of time together, but the time we do spend together is always just really fruitful.
Bottom of the oceon. Yeah.
We go there every time.
Yeah.
And I love that about you. But I'll start with the bridge comment. My team found that.
Yeah.
And so you've been saying that publicly, or I've said that publicly a lot. And I was like, I don't know of a better way to describe what you've done with your God-given talents, being a great orator, great communicator, great writer, great storyteller, all the things, good friend. And you see yourself yet as a bridge. And I'm just curious, why do you use that metaphor, and why is it important to you?
I think there's a couple of things that are cool about bridges. Bridges tend to not go anywhere unless something tragic happens. Bridges are there. And so you can know if you're trying to cross over something, where to go. And I, for better or for worse, I'm a little more gray than black and white about a lot of things. I'd like to assume that I can be friends with anybody. I kind of think if someone says, I bet we could be friends, I'm usually like, I bet so too. And so because of that, I tend to think, if I knew where you were coming from, I bet I'd understand. And if you knew where I was coming from, I bet you'd understand. And so that's what a bridge does, is a bridge goes, if I understood the journey you were on, I bet I'd get it too. And so I've never been great. Well, there's a lot of things I've never been great at, Miles, but I've never been great at going black and white, except for me about Jesus. I feel very sure about that, about him. But other than that, I'm kind of like, let's just figure it out together. And so when I started writing books and started That Sounds Fun podcast and doing the things that I do, traveling and speaking, my mind has always been like, I think I'm not that interesting, but I have really interesting things to tell you about. I'm just a normal Annie. I'm just like everybody else. I made tea this morning. I'm normal. But I know some really interesting people, and I have gotten to do some interesting things. Let me tell you about those. And so we often say at work that if people stop with me, we actually haven't hit our mission. If people are like, I listen to the podcast just for Annie, then I'm like, well, then I'm not doing this right. I actually really want you. What I love is when people stop me at an airport or a restaurant and they say, I have bought so many books this year because of you. Or, Annie, I don't have time to go to all the concerts you tell us about. Or I haven't been able to listen to all the albums you tell us about. And I go, great. That means I've hit my mission. Or if I've had people say, I used to love your podcast, but this one time you had a podcaster on, and then I started listening to theirs, and I have to tell you, I'm so sorry I haven't listened to your podcast in 2 years. And I'm like, great. That means I bridged you somewhere that actually mattered to you. So that's why a trusted bridge is really important in our lives. It means you sometimes get walked on. And that is just part of what you're signing up for. But it also means that people cross over to some really important places. And that feels like a real honor. I was just sitting with another friend who's done this job that a version that you and I do for 30 plus years. I said, why haven't you quit? It's hard. The part, the part people don't see, the grieving alone, the problem solving, the decision making, the financial, there are so many parts that people don't see of our public lives that are really hard. I mean, in the grand scheme of the world, I don't have a hard life, but I'm currently in a hard version of my life. And I said to him, why do you not quit? He said, well, I know what I'm called to. And I thought, you know what? That's why I haven't quit either. I know I'm called to be a bridge. I can't walk away from this. I'm not going to walk away from this. If they quit making podcasts, I'm still going to say, Miles, have you ever met my friend? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm still going to bridge. So I'm not going to walk away from this because it feels like what I was made for a little bit.
That's so well said. And I think you have a unique way of, I wondered in the early days when you invited me on your podcast years ago, and we've gotten to sit together a couple of times. And so I started listening to it and listening to you. And it's, at first I thought, well, there's some things I know Annie for. Your faith is one of them. You've been a fantastic representation of what you believe and inviting other people into it in such a, I think, a beautiful way. And I thought, well, you probably listen to somebody like Annie if you really want to ground yourself in your faith. And I'm sure a lot of people do. But when I listened to it, it was much broader than that. I was like, really, she's trying to help usher people into life. I mean, for life to be more rich and more full. You just validated that by saying, if I lose some listeners because I've turned them on to something that's going to make them come alive, bingo.
Yeah,
That's part of my mission.
Yeah, that's it.
I love that side of the bridge concept. And then, of course, you beautifully brought it in at the end there, and you're going to get walked on sometime.
That's it.
Say more about that. Why do you think those of us that put ourselves out there to try to build empathetic connections between others, ourselves, the world, different people, pulling people together, that just lights us up. And I fully agree. I think if you find your calling, it's very difficult to turn away from it. It's just going to keep calling you back home.
That's right.
And I've tried to move away from it over and over and over again, and it just keeps yanking me and inviting me back in. But it is hard. And what is it that makes, I think, people that do what we do maybe a little bit more vulnerable? I've got a theory and an idea about it, but I'd love to hear it from you.
Okay, will you answer after I answer?
Of course,
because I want to learn from you and hear that. I think part of it is, are you asking what makes us willing or what's the cost to it?
The cost. What makes us vulnerable?
What makes us vulnerable?
Well, you framed it as if you're going to be a bridge, you're going to get walked on sometimes.
Yeah, that's right.
One of the elements. It's hard.
Even today, I put on Instagram. I just finished this book that journeys with you for 40 days, and I thought, I don't want to tell people that I didn't get what I wanted at the end of those 40 days. But so many people don't get what they want at the end of a 40-day journey, right? Like that is the human school. That is the human experience, is that you hope for something, you walk towards something, you don't always get it.
It's the honest version of the human experience.
Yeah.
Because I think people want a solution. I would imagine publishers want a solution.
Yep.
It's like, well, what's the outcome? Give me so you sell the outcome.
Yes,
and
that's
what
right.
you're over here saying is, actually, I'm selling the process.
Yeah. Listen, if there's something I learned at Onsite in 2018, January of 2018, the most scared week of my life, is trust the process. Is you got to trust the process. And so I think it sets us up for the 9 people we help by being vulnerable. There's one that our vulnerability pushes up against their pain, and the only thing they know to do is to push back. Jim Kress, who was my at my Living Center program, he was my counselor leader, and he said to us, everyone's probably doing the best they can with what they have. And I have to say that about people in my personal life, and I have to say that about people online when they are unkind or when they take my vulnerability and misunderstand it, or accidentally or purposefully. I have to go, man, the pain they must be experiencing that has nothing to do with me. This must be pretty extreme. I bet, here's what I do. I think about 2 things. I bet when they were in 3rd grade, they were really cute. And I bet that the 3rd grade version of them would not say or do what they just did to me. And then I bet at midnight tonight when they try to fall asleep, they have a harder time falling asleep than I do. And that's really sad. And so those 2 things help me in that vulnerable moment. But I think that's why we get pushback sometimes, is because it isn't that someone genuinely hates me. It is that they are really, their points of pain get touched by my points of vulnerability.
So well said.
Why do you think it is?
Well, Gosh, there's so much I want to reflect on about what you just said.
Sorry.
I want to pack.
You're
No,
the
no,
boss.
no,
You're the host.
No, not at all. I want to unpack that, but I also want to share my thoughts about it too. And I'm workshopping it because I've had such an upfront view of public professions.
Yes.
From behind,
I'm more than anyone, I think.
behind the scenes. Well,
Yeah.
some other people that do what I do, people don't even know sometimes.
Yeah.
I've become a little bit more public with it the last few years, very uncomfortably so, but I've become a little more public with it. And I do think that to put yourself out there as a conduit to consume some of the world's narrative, be able to digest it, decide what might be fruitful for our own stories, and then to share with other people's stories, there's no way some of that doesn't stick. I mean, in a sense, we're saying, okay, we want to become a vessel for other people. If we're going to hold a microphone and try to communicate on other people's behalf, we want to become a vessel for other people. So we're going to download the world's good stuff and the bad stuff and the pain, and we're going to try to make sense of it and then put it back out in a narrative. And I think to do that, I really think a superpower with a lot of people that are great communicators and orators and empathizers is there's a sensitivity that underlays us. I think we're generally sensitive people.
Yeah.
Meaning we feel the world, we feel people, we feel a room, we feel things, we feel our audience, we feel our critics, and we feel the people that love us. And I think it's part of it, and it also makes it very difficult when you do bump into people's pain and they start to challenge what feels like progress for us.
Yes.
Because again, we're feeling the room. So our side of the aisles, I think we're hypersensitive people, and yet we're walking into territory where sensitivities are going to get wildly disruptive in a public format.
Right.
Now, why is that? Because I think if you're going to speak for or on behalf of people, everybody has an individual story, and there's no way you're not going to miss.
Yeah.
There's no way the narrative that you're sitting on today, which by the way is going to change next year,
That's right.
is going to fit for the hopefully thousands of people that pay attention to your message. And so basically we're inviting it. We're inviting, we're putting ourselves out there to be wrong for someone else's version of the story that they're in right now. If we're talking about a breakup, it's not going to fit your breakup narrative, or it might.
That's right.
And we try our best to be inclusive and encouraging. But you've got a sensitive people that are matching sensitive people, which creates a great recipe for people to create progress out of pain. But it's also a perfect recipe for people to get hurt in the process.
But I'll tell you, an interesting thing is we do try to be inclusive, but we all sing Taylor Swift saying, I'm drunk in the back of a car and I'm driving downtown going home from the bar. You know, like, I don't want to keep secrets just to keep. That's not my story, but I feel that. And that's her story. Right. And so there is something about being specific with your story and saying, here's exactly what I experienced, to the point that it's appropriate with everyone involved, because people actually relate to us telling the truth more than they relate to us including everyone. And that's why Taylor is Taylor, is because we feel the things she says, because she's telling us exactly what the experience is. And we're going, now I haven't done that, but I know it. I don't want to keep secrets just to keep you. I know what that means in my story. And so I struggle with that in stages and on books and in conversations with friends, really, Miles, of going like, how much do I want to tell? I want them to feel seen in their own story. But what actually makes people feel seen in their story is when you tell your deepest one. And I've written a few books, and one of them is called Remember God. And I am the most specific about my life in Remember God as I've been in any book. And my agent said, I'm never letting you write a book like that again because you filleted yourself. I said, I agree. And I would also not like to do it just the same again. And what has happened with every book I've written is the feedback I get is people will send letters or emails or stop me in public and say, I love this story in your book. I love that story in your book. Here's how I connected to your story. Miles, the week after Remember God came out, we started getting piles of letters.
Wow.
And they were all people telling me their story. They were not reflecting about mine. They were going, now that I've read yours, I have to tell you mine. And it taught me something so unique of like, oh, what people actually need is not for me to give them the rah-rah, here's how everybody can figure this out. But like, here's how I'm trying to figure this out. I don't know. I'm doing the best I can.
So that book, in a sense, became an invitation.
Yes.
Or permission.
Yes.
For people
and
to
it
tell
was
their
the
story.
most filleted of me. And so I think I have done work on myself. I mean, I literally turned that book in my, okay, let me actually do the math. That book came out 8 months after I went to onsite. So I had finished it 6 months before I went to onsite.
Wow.
So so I've learned, and then since 2018, I have continued to let the tools that I got at onsite lead me and change me. So I would still do it differently, and I could do it just as well. I've done it differently in my next book and in the other things I'll write. But I'm leaning back on that experience to go, I want people to feel that again in my life, but I don't have to do it from the place I did that one.
So on one hand, it was very fruitful to go that deep in the paint and share your truth in that way for a lot of other people, and maybe for you in some way, because I know you liked it when people were encouraged. That's part of what fuels you, and it encouraged people to own their stories, tell their stories, but it also came at a cost that it sounds like you're trying to mitigate. If I do this again, how do I make sure I protect Annie in the process?
That's right. How do I protect little Annie in the process? How do I protect? How do I lay down at night and go, I gave everything I was meant to give, but nothing more. And I think with less emotional health, I was willing to give more. I was willing to give past what was actually healthy. And now I'm like, I'll go to the edge and give everything. But I'm learning how to not go beyond that. And so, but that's all.
Because I think this is a conversation that comes up a lot with everyday people, because everyday people aren't writing books and becoming public to do so, because in order to accelerate a message, it requires a little bit of a platform, and to build a platform, that's how you move product if you're doing our kind of thing, which is one of the reasons I've hid from it for so long. And now I'm finally getting healthy enough to try to give it a swing. But I think now that the world is online, everybody has a version of public.
If you have one follower on Instagram, you are a public person. You're a public person. We see this happen all the time on Instagram, Miles, where someone will post something and they will get on a plane and fly across the country, and when they land, it's gone viral and they had no idea. Or someone makes a recipe and they go to bed and they wake up here in Central Time Zone and the West Coast has found that recipe and now their thing has gone viral. You have no idea if the one little thing you do ends up in front of 1 million people. So every one of us that are normal people are also public people if you are online at all.
So for everybody that's out there, and whether you're online or not, even if it's just you're a human trying to figure out what parts of your story should I share, because we do know from a psychological standpoint that, in biological, frankly, that the science points in the direction of sharing your truth is wildly beneficial to your overall health and well-being, spiritual life, emotional life. But often we don't know how to do it. It's such a clumsy thing to try to figure out how to do, which is there's a lot of efforts like mine and excuse me, and others that have tried to set up places for you to come and get familiar with your truth, the parts that you've never been able to share. And then you go out from that and say, well, what do I do with that? We know vulnerability's trending. It's kind of sexy and cool now to be vulnerable. And I almost think we overcorrected when it got hip, where everybody started to be like, oh, vulnerability sells. Let's jump in and be vulnerable. I've done it. I've overshared from stages and overshared to people, all in good effort. I was trying to build a bridge, connect, but then you realize later, I was like, it's a little too much. Because I said from the top that we're sensitive. A lot of creatives are sensitive people. And the more you put your story out there, the more it's going to get criticized. And so what parts need to be sacred? What's the line? I mean, have you found the line?
I feel like every day I get to find the line, right? And the longer you do it, the more you can tell when you're getting close. I don't know if you know, I've talked about this. I can't remember if we did, but there's this spectrum I kind of live on of the far right end, if you can picture it, is public life. So all down here is your public life. Everything you do outside of your house is your public life. Go in the grocery store, posting online. You have a public life. You are seen. If you got up and got dressed today and left your house, you got a public life. And then right next to that one is your personal life. And then it's your private life. And then it's a secret life. I don't think anybody needs to have a secret life. I think you can have secret life with God, where there's things you pray about that other people don't know. But other than that, you don't need to have a secret life. There is nothing that someone could post about me online tomorrow that someone doesn't know. Now, there's a lot of stuff everybody doesn't know, but there's not something where if someone posts online and everyone gasped that I could go, yeah, my mentor Nancy has known for 3 years. We're working on it. Or yeah, my counselor knows. Or yeah, I worked on that at Onsite. Or yeah, my friends know that. So I don't have a secret life. I don't bring Oreos in my house without telling my mentor. And let me tell you why. because Oreos are the first food I go to when I'm emotionally eating and when I'm wanting to feel better. And if I start keeping secrets on an Oreo level, I'm about 3 secrets from doing something damaging. And so I know if Nancy knows about Oreos, that I'm way less likely to say yes to any of the other things because I don't have a secret base. Does that make sense? And so I don't have a secret life. The difference between your private life and your personal life, my private life is the stuff you and I talked about before we started this podcast.
Right.
My private life is stuff that the public doesn't need to know, that I'm allowed to have a private life. Everyone is. You're allowed to have friendships, relationships, conversations, decisions that you don't have to talk about right now or never have to talk about.
Doesn't make you less interesting.
No. In fact, I tend to find it makes you more interesting that you are able to know the difference. The people who can show me that they know how to manage a private life and a personal life amidst their public life, I find to be the healthiest, most interesting people.
Agree.
Because if you have a private life, that means you've deemed some things worthy of personal reflection that don't require any applause. Now, a personal life for me is when something has been private and something has been within my safe relationships and within my personal life, or I'll even say private life with my friends and family. And I go, man, but there's a nugget in here that I think I'm ready to share. There's a nugget in here that may help one person. Or I made a decision that people are going to see. It's time for me to tell them why. So for example, living in New York part-time, I made that decision in January of 2023. I did not move it from my private life where I told my management team and my friends and my family and rented an apartment. I did all that privately until the end of that summer. And then I said, hey, here's a personal story for you guys. I've decided to live part-time in Nashville and part-time in New York. It's really personal. I don't know how it's going to go. I don't know if I'm going to like it. I'm trying it for 2 months. And I took that private story, and because it was really personal to me, it doesn't just go public. Where now it's public. Everybody knows I lived part-time in New York. It was fun. It was terrible. It was all these things. But it has to work through that system for me.
And I'm curious about because I love this process, but I'm curious about this for everybody to be thinking about, because the reason that process is important to you, or would be important to me, is the minute I do put it out there, then I'm going to get everybody's opinion on what they think about living in New York or not living in New York. And I may not be, I'd like to form my own impression, my own opinion. I love when I see public people do that, because that's one of the things that always makes me sad about people once they become very public, is you lose a gift that we take for granted when we're not, which is the ability to make a first impression again.
Wow, right.
It's one of the saddest things, because everyone thinks they know us
we'll never make
by
first
what they've
impression.
read about us.
Wow, I've never thought about that, Miles.
That's one of the reasons I encourage public people, when they have the means, go travel.
Yes.
Go international. Because I was just out there in Europe with Jelly.
Yeah.
And Jelly's, there were certain parts of Europe, he was free again. Wow. We were scootering around the city looking at places,
so
and he was like
a
kid again. We can't do that back home now. And he got to meet people on the street and say hello without them thinking, this is who you are and who I know you to be based on this. So I think there is a part of us that we should protect, because if we and I'm vulnerable to letting other people's opinions influence me significantly, recovering codependent to the core. And I've learned to mitigate that very much with the system you're using, although I love a system, and you've got it down to a system, but I've same theory.
Yes.
I've got to hold some things sacred so that I can form my own expression and my own opinion about those before I let the world influence it.
Yes. I am actively walking through this, where I am trying to sort out, what do I think about this decision I want to make? And there are so many other voices that I literally said to someone the other day, I'm working hard to make God happy and my family happy and this dude happy and my friends happy, and I am not happy. And I am not happy because I have no idea what I want. Everyone else knows what they want for me, and they are screaming it at me. I do not know. And the problem with that is then even the voice of God, the creator of the universe, gets lumped in, where I'm like, well, you too, actually, all of you, everyone else knows. And of all of you, the one I want to listen to is God, but you sound just like my mom and dad. And so I'm not sure what to do with that. There's codependence coming out too.
It's a little bit like if you're in a car with somebody who's got the music up really loud and you're trying to take a call.
Yes.
And the noise is so loud here, it's impossible to have a conversation here.
That's exactly right.
I've been through so many seasons like that where everyone else's influence and opinions got so loud I couldn't hear my own voice.
That's how I felt, Miles. I literally said to Ashley when I walked in, I said, I have said to multiple people, I'd like to go to sleep for 2 weeks and wake up and see how y'all are doing. And then decide if I'm ready to be awake and live my life again, or if I just would like to go back to sleep for 2 weeks and let y'all keep doing whatever healing you need to do. And it is because I had no agency in my own head anymore. I had totally been enveloped by other people's opinions. And the problem was I was making a decision in private that will become public. So I'm trying to do that thing of, before this becomes public, do I know what I want? And because people in my private life were so loud, I couldn't even suss out what I wanted. So I said, all of you, hush. All of you, out. And I mean, to like very near people, I said, I need you to not tell me what you think about this anymore until I ask. And I'll tell you the other thing that's changed about me, Miles, is walking this process of making decisions. And I mean, this is the epitome right now of the class I'm in human school, is how in the world do you make decisions independently with wisdom and with help, but in the long run, it's my life. And how do you do that? And the problem has been for me, when something's going to work its way all the way out to the public world, how do I make this decision? And how do I not be codependent? How do I not make sure I'm making everyone else happy? Now, the dream for you and me, I want everybody else to be happy and me be happy. Wouldn't that be unbelievable? If everyone could just get what they want, including me. That's what I've been trying to do. And it has made my head feel, I mean, I had a migraine 2 weeks ago that I couldn't get out of my bed for 2 days. And I said to my team, I was like, my brain is malfunctioning because of this. I am telling you, my brain is malfunctioning. Everyone has to stop giving me opinions.
Yeah. Let's unpack that for a minute, because I think a lot of people could relate to, especially those that get into service-based roles. And that's a much broader camp than you might think. You might think therapist, author, pastor, people that kind of, we're in service to others. I mean, there's a whole leadership thought school around service-based leadership. And the whole concept is put others first, put others first. And I think there's a time where that's really valid, where I think we need to do that. But I think so many of us, whether you're a teacher, anything you're drawn to when it comes to pouring into others is such a noble pursuit and a profession. I mean, I'm a service-based guy. I chose that profession. But that profession has come at a cost when I neglected myself in the process. And I'm not big on, I overcorrected at times where it's like, oh, you got to put yourself first always. You know, all the metaphors, put the airplane mask on first before you try to save the world. And there's been times where I've needed to overplay that card, but I think it's a dance. There's a better balance. There's going to be time you're going out more than you're coming in, but if you go down that lane too far, it 100% is going to come at a cost. And a lot of people don't realize it's first an emotional cost, but then the emotional cost can turn physical, like migraines.
Yes.
I mean, I literally had autoimmune challenges for over a decade.
Wow.
That were keeping me sick, and I was having a difficult time digesting food, and I felt like, okay, I've been in the psychology space for 20 years. If anybody knows, I mean, I'm in the stress business. If you guys know stress, I know stress, and because that's the first thing a lot of people would say is like, have you thought about stress?
You're like, full time for my job.
Think about that every day, every minute of every day, and I've worked through it. So I really don't think it's it. I think it's this, and this, and it turns out it was both. It was.
Yes.
There was another layer of stress I needed to take a look at, learn to mitigate in a new season. It didn't matter. The tools that worked 5 years ago were needed a different set of tools for today. And amazing, as I paid attention to, it's functional medicine and other things that gave me solutions as well. But it wasn't just a bag of supplements that got my stomach back in order. Yeah. It was also getting my nervous system regulated.
Yes.
And suddenly both of them, it's like, okay.
Yes. Yeah, that is how I felt this at live taping. I'm a week into having quiet. And I was at the chiropractor this morning. I said, everything feels better. It doesn't mean I want to keep the people out that are not giving me opinions right now, but I had to quiet everything.
Recharge, reset.
Yes. And just give my brain a break, almost to remind myself, Miles. I mean, and this is whether you're a public person or not, there are times where we just need to remind ourselves, you can do this. You've heard all of these opinions. I know. You actually can do this. You have the tools you need. Just get everyone else quiet for a second and sit with you and God, and you've got all the tools you need. I mean, even Jim's coming to town in a couple of weeks, and he was texting me and we were making plans, and I was like, I'm kind of drowning. And he was like, you can call me anytime. And I thought, Jim is the voice. Jim is one of the voices that I can invite in. And even that, I said, can I have another week? I was like, I just need one more week. And Jim is the wisest, kindest man I know. He would not tell me anything except the right thing. Right. And I still was like, I've put the mask on myself and I'm taking a nap. I'm not rescuing anyone else for just a minute, because I had to calm my body and my brain.
I got, when I've gotten really busy in certain seasons and people ask something of me, something really kind, it's like, I'd love to pick your brain. I'll feel it as a threat. Yes. Weirdly. Even from close friends, I'm like, yes. And in your mind, you start to say, do they not know how busy I am? They don't know what all I've got going on. Do you know I've got, and that's always a flag for me. Yes. It's like, I've dehumanized myself a little bit. I've turned myself into a product here. Yes. And what would it be like to hear that as a kind invitation? Doesn't mean I can certainly say, not right now. Yes. I'm too consumed. I even did that when we started. We were sitting down and I was thinking, okay, I'm launching this new podcast. You're a queen of the podcast world. You've got a whole network of podcasts. I mean, you've elevated all kinds of voices, people I love, a lot of my friends, and built this successful thing. The first thing is, I'd love to have coffee with you and pick your brain. So would the rest of the world.
No, that's not true. And we are doing it. So don't you worry about it.
I know you would, but it's sometimes the human-to-human connection. And I've always felt that from you. It's like, we're not these public people that aren't human. At the end of the day, we're humans trying to connect and figure out life, bumping off the guardrails. And I think that's what makes you so approachable. There was one thing you said when you were walking us through that framework that you use. I don't want to skip over because I think there was a nugget there. I meant to go back there earlier, which was the secret part. Yeah. And because I've been in the counseling space for a long time. We've got all these cliche sayings like your secrets keep you sick. Mm-hmm. And there's some truth to all of that. It's a kind of a recovery slogan. And we have even facilitated ways to safely invite secrets out of people. We do a secret ceremony where and I won't give it fully away, but it involves kind of writing things you've never told anybody down, where it's a fire ceremony and you're sharing with people you've never shared, and we actually burn it just to signify that that's all you need to do. Yep. And the science is super clear that offloading things, that they call it emotional blunting in a way, where we withhold the hard parts of our story to try to experience only the good parts. And what we know is that if you dull all the hard parts, you're also going to dull the joy. Yes. So it's important to do both, but I think there's context, because that's what shocks me is having seen thousands of people over the years, they're sitting on some major secrets. And I've never seen anybody that has not said it for the first time that realized, why did I sit on that so long?
Every time, Miles. Same for me. When I was working through the secret pain of my past and all that kind of stuff, and you say it out loud and people go, okay. You're like, that's it. Yeah. Now, there are also people listening who have secrets that are going to have serious consequences when they break. Of course. And also, get it out. Get the consequence. Yeah. Start moving forward. The minute it's out, the clock starts fresh. Mm. And now you've got the rest of your life as a not secret-keeping person. Great. That's what you want. I mean, the freedom between when I thought, if anyone finds out that I struggle with this, or if anyone finds out that I did that, then I lose all of this, whatever the this and that are. Yeah. The minute that goes away, you kind of go, well, I actually can run 20 miles an hour faster because now I'm not worried about any of that. Are there consequences? Always. And do I have learning and growing to do? Yeah. But man, people who live without secrets, you're just like, great, let's run. And
it's funny how life plays this trick on us sometimes that tells us the more influence that you get. And influence doesn't have to be a public thing. It can be influence in your family, influence in your friend circle. You're the person everybody goes to. You're the person people looks up to for this thing. And they have no idea you're sitting on this thing that would compromise your position or that perception of you. I mean, I'll give you a real example. I don't even know the timeline. I think I blacked out and I don't remember it, but I was well into Onsite and quietly becoming the face of this initiative that I just loved and have helped build. And it represented things like vulnerability, healthy relationships. And I got in a really bad relationship, a really unhealthy relationship, armed with all the tools. Yeah. Representing this initiative that ushered people into healthy relationships. Yeah. And there's no way as an entrepreneur I can't think, if I share this, or if this is exposed, will people trust that I have anything to offer? Yep. And so I sat on that longer than I need to. I was like, the Onsite guy can't have fallen into this trap.
Yeah.
Absolutely I can.
Yeah.
And and you've always been great about this too, but when I started sharing about it in real time when it was appropriate, when I had gotten into the healing phase of it, people trusted me more.
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh, you're a human.
You're normal.
I'm not coming to see an expert. I'm
Yes.
coming to see a guide.
Yes. That's one of the reasons, even today on Instagram, I posted that I've been doing this prayer journey for 40 days and didn't get what I wanted. Because I'm like, hey, guess what? I'm just like you. I am just like you. We are all the same in the long run. And so the problem is people who, and this is the only reason I know is I sat in this seat of when you keep secrets, you think, nobody's like me. No one would get this. And I remember my first counselor saying, you're not going to say anything to me that I haven't heard before. And I said, I thought, buckle up. I'm going to sure try. I was like, if I'm doing this, I'm going to absolutely try. And then everything I'd say to her, I thought about this. I've wondered about this. She's like, yeah, I heard that twice today. So I made a phone call this week to a mentor. I said, I cannot believe this is going on, A, B, C. And he goes, would it help you to know that I've gotten 4 of these phone calls this week? I said, yes, that helps me so much. And I had sat on calling him for 3 days because I thought, this is kind of embarrassing to call him about a breakup. I'm embarrassed to call him about a breakup. I don't want, this. And he said, the situations are not the same, but the problem, I've had 4 other calls about this problem this week. You should know that. Now, had I kept the lie in my head that said, you're different, no one will understand, you shouldn't tell anybody, even this week, I wouldn't have gotten the piece of like, I'm not alone in this. Other people know what this feels like. And so in a safe community with a safe mentor, leader, or friend or parent, the Me Too moment of I can tell my secret, I can tell the thing I'm struggling with. Do you have time? I'll give you another example. Yeah. I was 18. I was at a retreat I went to University of Georgia. I was real involved in the Wesley Foundation. Go Dogs. Come on. This is a big Saturday too. Every Saturday is a big Saturday.
I went to University of Tennessee, for those of you who aren't listening. So we got a big rivalry in Neyland Stadium
this week. Game days there. I can't wait. I mean, I'm not going to Knoxville. Are you going?
No, I wish I would have though.
I just like watching at home at this point. This may be me being old, but I'm like, I can get to the bathroom. I don't have to deal with the traffic. I can turn it off if I start crying. So I love the Dogs. So I went to Georgia, real involved in the Wesley Foundation, which is the Methodist student ministry. And we were on a retreat. And I'm 18. And I have never said out loud that I've looked at pornography. Ever. I mean, because at the time, what I was being taught or what was caught was that's a boy problem, not a girl problem. So that was raising all sorts of flags in my head. It's a sexual sin, which is whoops a daisy, right? And especially in church culture, especially in the 90s, right? And I didn't know anybody else. And I'm 18 and we're on a retreat and there's like 5 girls sitting around. And one of the seniors says, something I've dealt with my whole life is pornography. And I'm like, and it's a girl. And I'm like, what?
Wow.
Me too.
Immediately.
I just thought I think what she thought was her most vulnerable moment felt like a life preserver to me in an ocean that I was drowning in. Because all of a sudden I was like, I'm allowed to say that. So this isn't like the thing I wasn't supposed to look at or do in my life. And then suddenly there's freedom to say, I have a problem. Like, I don't like this. I don't like the way this feels. I don't know how this started is really sad. And I don't want to talk about that either. And I mean, I would to you, but at the time when I'm 18 sure. and I'm like, and then you start the healing process and then you start to understand what you're really looking for and why am I running to that when I'm sad, or why am I running to Oreos when I'm sad, or why am I, and then I am able to build healthy responses to my needs because I finally said out loud that this one little thing, it wasn't a little thing, but this one thing that made me feel like an alien in my life, I was not an alien. There were people around me who knew exactly what I was going through. And then when I'm 45, I tell Nancy when I bring Oreos in my house. Because when I was 18, the girl sat across from me and said, I've struggled with this, and gave me a chance to say me too. John Acuff calls it the gift of going second. Because she gave me the gift of going second 30 years ago. I'm terrible at math. 27 years ago. I have a tool now that keeps me being who I want to be. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, and if you're out there and you're sitting on secrets, I don't want you to, we've clearly made a case for the importance of
Yes.
it. And you've gotten some great examples of when done well, it can be
Yeah,
life changing.
say this. Yeah, help them.
And we also know why people sit on secrets.
Yes. Yes.
Which is usually there's a pretty significant shame cloud.
Yes.
There's almost like a veil of shame, which is a pretty tough emotion to navigate. And when you peek your head out, I would say the majority of people don't get the luxury of that response.
Yep.
Majority of people don't get a Me Too moment,
That's
which is
right.
one of the most healing things you can ever do.
Absolutely.
We do a lot of really cool clinical work in our setting, and we try to make it as creative as possible. So we try to make it what we call, it's an umbrella of service we call experiential. We try to make stories come alive and do a lot of showing and different things, and versus just cognitively talking. But the most, and to watch it is kind of intriguing. It's kind of interesting. It's like literally you're one of the founders of one of those modalities tripped into it in the Greek theater because there was something going on in the town where there was a strike and the papers weren't running. And so he realized that in order for people to get the news, we could go to the theater and actually role play the news.
Wow.
And so when they started role playing the news, they realized it was cathartic for people to watch it versus read it.
Wow.
That they were like emoting on bad news because people were playing it out.
Yes.
And suddenly they created a whole therapeutic model that ended up being one of the ones that we adopted. But often that's the one you see that it's like, wow. But the magic where you really rewire your neuronets, I believe, is what happens right after that. Because as soon as you get through with insider speak, we often call it a piece of work. Like you might walk into a piece of work with something you want to work out in your life. You want to do more of or less of or change. And you bring some people in to figure out, you do pattern recognition, find out what is this, where does it sit, have a couple conversations. And then you're kind of like, okay, well, that felt good. But after that, you get in a circle with other people that just witnessed it.
Yeah.
And they get to have that Me Too moment because we say, hey, the only thing that we'd like for you to not do in this circle is give advice.
Yes.
What we'd love for you to do is be able to share your experience, strength, and hope with what you just experienced. And so much so, sometimes you have to give people a playbook because we're so prone to use advice. Is I just use I statements, just what I felt, what I saw, what I related to. And I think that little, what we call that little feedback or validation circle is the most powerful part of the work. And you got it when you were 18. I've had lots of moments like that. But there's a lot of well-intended people that when you go to them, immediately they're going to give you advice instead of empathy, instead of love. They're going to give you a playbook. And I don't want to over-criticize. I think some people, it's okay. Some people that may be what they need. But for the most part, I'd say this to the people on the receiving end and on the delivery end, if there's any way you can step back in that moment and withhold what it is you know. Let's say she comes to you and you're 5 years down the road of having recovered or dealt with that challenge. Would you have been more prone to say, well, let me tell you what I did?
Oh, 100%. Here's the steps. You want out? Here's the steps. And that is not always helpful. It's certainly not as helpful in the first conversation as you think it is.
Well, so I don't have the statistic, and I'm hesitant to throw out a guess, but I am going to speculate because I'm going to say, having sat with thousands of people, upwards of 90% of the people who share a secret for the first time in our settings tried years before
to tell someone,
and someone tried to tell them what they need to do about it, and they never told another person.
Wow.
So it's that, I think it's that important to realize that shame is a real emotion. I think about it, the fact that I know that doesn't change my ability to put shame into somebody else's story.
Yeah,
I still can add shame to people's story.
Miles,
the coolest part about it is I catch it so much sooner now, and I can repair it.
Yes.
But I compare it to like sitting in and we've got one of these in our backyard. It's like a kid's playhouse. Everything's smaller.
Yeah.
So I can't stand up in the playhouse. The chairs are really small, and you're sitting in this little abbreviated version. I sometimes feel like that's what shame feels like. It's like a ceiling above you that you can function in there, but you can't really express yourself or be yourself. But you got to remember, you got in there some way.
Yes.
And you still the one that holds the key to the door to be able to step back out and be able to lift your shame ceiling and lift the veil a little bit. But 2 days ago, I come home, since you've invited me into story, since you just shared a great story. And my wife and my son are sitting on the front porch. I'd had one of those long, stressful days. I had my work. I still have my work all over me, physically and metaphorically. And I walked into a pretty tense conversation. And it was my son had said a few things that felt not great to my wife. And they were kind of talking about it. And so she wanted to report that out to me. And immediately I was frustrated.
Yeah.
I was hungry. I was tired. I felt like I was going to go home and be received and get to eat and do things. And suddenly I walked into a problem. I've been solving problems all day.
Yes.
So my face changed. And I went towards frustration and anger about, and she immediately said, here's what he said. And it was a look I gave him, just like, how dare you? How could you? Yeah. And you know what he said? I didn't say that.
Wow.
I didn't say that. And he repeated it. And what's the one thing any parent, I think, would want, or any relationship, anybody would want the person that you love the most to be able to do, is have the freedom to tell you the truth.
Yes.
If anybody I don't want to hide, it's my kids.
Yes.
We all hope our kids will talk to us and tell us all the things.
Yes.
And I realize I influenced that response just with a look, just because I had an emotion and got angry and frustrated with what he did. And so he didn't feel safe to be able to tell me he did it. But the good thing is I got to back out of that repair, get down on his level and invite him into a different conversation and own my miss on the response. Wow. And I know I'm getting granular on this, but I'm glad you said it, because I think it's such an important topic that everybody sits on that. Here's the why and here's the don't, because you said you've had to tell your people recently, you had to influence them to say, I just need to say something. I don't need you to do anything about it.
Yes.
You can do that too. If you're listening out there,
Yes.
there is a person that will listen without fixing. And that is the bridge that's going to take you into feeling free and to sharing the parts of your stories that are hard to look at.
I think so often when we deal with dishonesty in someone else, like you're talking about with your son, that moment of like, I didn't say that. I find if someone pushes back with dishonesty, there may be something about my approach that made them feel like they couldn't tell me the truth. Maybe not every time. Maybe there are people who are just diabolical liars. But often when people aren't telling the truth, this is me. I would not tell the truth when I was younger if I felt, let me think of how I can say this. I would lie when I felt like what mattered most was impressing the people. Like I would lose their love or I would lose their favor.
Makes total sense.
Total sense.
That's the one thing you need in the world as a young person, is to feel like you're loved and accepted and safe.
And so when
that's challenged, you go to survival.
That's exactly right. And you go, I will do whatever it takes to be able to still be in my body here. And so when I've experienced as an adult, people not telling me the truth, when I've gotten away from the moment it happened, I go, oh man, I wish I could go back and do my part again. And I was the one who was lied to. I wish I could go back and do my part again with what I know now, which we can't. But it gives me a chance next time to go, let me get on your level. Not that another adult, I need to crouch down and go, you all right, babe? But to go, man, how can I walk into this where I'm not contributing any shame, but I'm standing true in who I am, but inviting them to stand true in who they are too. I think that is an important thing you just told us, because so often with secrets, what we see when someone else invites us in is it takes a minute for them to tell us the whole truth, right? Because they're going, I'm going to give you an appetizer and see if you're still here. And if you're still here, I'll bring out the main course. And oftentimes I receive the appetizer as they aren't telling the full truth. Well, they've maybe never been safe anywhere. They maybe are trying with me. I think about the younger women in my life that I meet with, and I think, man, she's trying to tell me the whole truth. And I can go, is that like, what else happened? And then it just rolls. It rolls. If the appetizer is received with love, you end up getting the full story. If the attempt at the appetizer is not, it's what you said, it's the people who walk away and then they get to an on-site environment and they're able to, I tried to tell this one other time and it wasn't received, and I've got to get this out of my body. Because I bet of the 90% of all the people who've ever had a secret, which is all of us, 100% of us feel some degree of better when it's out of our body the first time. Yeah. Right? I would think so. Yeah, it's 100% for me every single time.
You can see people like physiologically change. Yes. I mean, you see their whole body change.
Yes.
When they're on the back end of having offloaded some stuff that doesn't belong to them. Yeah. And reminded that they're still loved with who they are, flaws and all. And we do that with each other. We do it validation. This conversation, I mean, because Doing it well is not messing up. Like I could give you 100 examples of this past 2 weeks, because that's the other thing is when you get a little bit of self-awareness, self-analysis, you're going to see things in your story, more like laser focus. And it is the coolest tool in the world, because I used to see it when I saw a quote the other day that our kid's first bully is 10 times more likely to be an unhealed parent than it is somebody at school.
My friend Melanie Schenkel in her book wrote, "My mom was my first mean girl."
Mm. And you may not think, well, I don't have that in my body at all. But the reality is every micro expression, how you're moving. But to go into that as a parent or in a relationship or in leadership and think, oh man, you mean I've got to be that aware, that perfect all the time? Forget about it.
Right.
It's not about the rip, it's about the repair. I'll say that 100 times on this show, because it's about being able to take a step back and have the grace on yourself to be like, yeah, I screwed that one up.
Yep.
And used to, that would eat my lunch and I thought I'm a terrible dad and I'd have gone into a hole for a week, and I don't now. I'm like, oh man, I'm so glad I caught that.
Yes.
Let's move on. Let's figure it out. The repair is probably going to be more educational for him than it would have been if I got it right the first time.
That's exactly right. And that is the nature of human school. That is what we're doing, of going, even as I'm telling you, I'm going, I wish I could do this one scenario again and be different. And then I go, well, luckily with that friend, I've gotten to sit again and keep talking. And I have gotten to change my posture. And next time, this is what is great and terrible about being a person is we keep having to do things for the first time we've never done before. Just go, I've never done, I mean, I cannot tell you how many times in the last 6 months I've said to a friend or the person I was dating or my family, I've never done this before. So I'm going to do the best I can today. But I need you to hear me say, I've never done this before. Next time I run into any of those experiences, at least I've done them before. And I can go, man, I didn't like when that thing happened. But last time I was quick to this, or I was too slow to do this, and I'm going to do that better. And then the next day, my gosh, here's the thing I've never done before. It's just the nature of the thing, Miles, is the only way we keep doing this is if we keep doing this. And the only way we grow is if we have new experiences. And new experiences bring us opportunity to bring our wisdom from other experiences, but also grace of, I've never done this before. And I think parents, I have some parent friends who do this really beautifully, where they say to their oldest, I'm really new at this. I'm as new at being a parent as you are at being a kid. And so I've never had a fifth grader before, or I've never had a kindergartner before. I've never had a junior in high school before. I've got wisdom from being a human longer than you. So I've got some ideas, and we're going to work this out together, but I've never done this before either. And I think, man, when parents say, this is new for me, what a gift to the child, whether the child is 45 or the child is 12.
So well said. I'm curious about you, to watch where you started and what you continue to build. I'd love to ask you some questions on the professional side about what you found. But before we get there, I'm kind of interested in, okay, you work in the currency of connection, communication, faith. You represent a lot of things that can improve the human experience and improve humanity through your writing, through your podcasting, through your everything that you're up to.
Thank you.
Has that added value and benefit to your personal life? And if so, how?
Or has it cost us more than it's added? I don't know, right? I don't know.
Probably a little both. But.
I mean, my honest answer today is I'm not sure it's added to my personal life. I think maybe what has happened is that currency of connection feels more sacred on a Tuesday than it does on a Saturday evening on a stage, right? Like I think I have learned what is sacred, and everything can be sacred. I think everything can be sacred, but maybe what I've learned, even better said as I'm thinking about this, Miles, is maybe what I've learned is what is sacred to me. And the things that I go, I used to think, I can't wait to write a book about getting married. And then I fell in love and I thought, I'm never telling anyone any of this. This is so much more sacred than I ever imagined. And so that's, to me, suddenly this thing that I thought was going to be a connection point became this like, I want no one. I mean, I want my community involved. I'm not trying to not be wise. I want to hide this because it is the most sacred thing I've ever done. and the most fun. And so that's what I'm learning.
And by hide, you mean protect?
Yes. Yes. For our friends that aren't watching, I'm like cupping my hands like I'm holding a mouse. You know, that's how I felt as I was like, I want to hold this
and
mouse.
I want to protect that because.
Yes. I want to protect it because it is it is more special than anything else I've ever done. And so maybe it works its way from private to personal to public. But as it was happening, I thought, no, little mouse, stay here.
I've been thinking the same way about parenting. I've been dropping in more stories about parenting, but it would have made such natural sense that I waited late. I'm an older first-time dad. I've been learning human hacks on how to be a better human for a long time. And I was like, well, maybe the next is parenting. I'll talk about parenting. But I'm like, I want to learn this and I want to experience this.
Yes.
I don't want to be a parenting expert.
Yes.
First of all, I think I would suck at it.
Yeah.
But I've got stories I want to share, and I'll share those most of the time. It's about my blooper reel of how I've messed it up. But there's something sacred that is giving me life that I feel like I desperately need. And the minute I commoditize it, then I lose a little bit of it, the personal benefit.
Yes.
I think it's really wisely said, because I could probably debate you on just what I've acknowledged, what I've witnessed it as your friend, and then in this conversation we've had, like you've said, boop, boop, all these different awarenesses and nuggets. I'm like, well, that's benefiting you more than you think if you're navigating life with the tools in this way. But it's important people to hear that often if we don't have the evidence that we're looking for, it's tough to realize the progress that we're making.
Wow.
Because if my contentment and happiness anchors on when these things get checked off, that's when I realize these tools did their job. And until then, they might not be optimizing my life.
Wow.
But I really believe that something is always at work when we're in the midst of progressing and we're trying to be better human beings.
Yes.
And you do that as good as anybody. You do it as an open book a lot of times. In the conversations, we nerd out on these conversations.
Yeah,
every time
I love
we've done it, we've always been like, why does this work? How does that work? Wait, really? What do you mean? Oh, that? Ooh, that?
Yes.
Ooh, that. And,
yes.
And that's one of the reasons I've always been drawn to you and love talking to you. But I genuinely have always thought, okay, how is it some of the best people in the world, like who I believe, like you won't find a better human being than I'm fanning out, but it's for good cause. Not because you're professional athletes. I think those are wildly cool too, and I respect it.
Thank you.
A lot of stuff you've done, I aspire to do. But it's because who I know you to be. I'm fanning out on the person of Annie, the person behind Annie F. Downs. But Annie is just a salt of the earth, great human.
Thank you.
Always known that. And I think that story sometimes doesn't always get enough airtime. The person behind the mic, the person behind the product.
Sure.
I think you've done a pretty good job integrating it. And I'm glad we're asking the question, because I've asked this question a million times.
Yes.
It's usually on the days when I'm like, I think I want to be a barista today.
Truly.
Or a farmer or something.
I want to cut fabric at that fabric store in 100 Oaks.
That sounds fun.
Right. The one right by Baja Burrito.
What about
I'm like, I just would love to like hear what they're, so I know I have the job.
Tell me about the fabric. Why is that interesting? What do you like about fabric? Do you like that stuff?
No, I don't know how to make anything, but I think what a peaceful place. People come in and they just want to make a skirt or they just want to make a blanket for their baby. And all I got to do is cut things like a yard and hand it back, and then they leave. And it feels so. Being a barista, like you're saying, there is a peaceful job we both dream of that is not the job either of us have chosen. So sorry to interrupt. But
no, you didn't interrupt, because I think it's an important part. I often think, why am I drawn to certain tasks like that? And I think a lot of jobs you'll never finish your to-do list.
That's right.
Ever. Especially if you're a dreamer, a serial entrepreneur, which I know both of us share that common too.
Because as soon as I'm done with my actual list, now I get to do the list that I can't even have time to write down yet.
That's right.
Yeah. I'm never going to be done
with
this
But I like to get on a tractor and cut grass.
Yeah.
And why? Probably similar to the reason you're dreaming about. What do we need? Is it seamstress? We need to figure out what the current...
Oh, yeah. I need to find it. Well, I don't know how to sew. I just want to be a cutter. Professional fabric
cutter.
cutter.
Just want to cut. Does anybody know what that would be called?
It's not
it's like a designer or a something.
You're giving me way too much credit. It is a
tailor,
maybe?
That could be fun.
I am a fabric connoisseur.
But when I finish a strip of grass, I look behind me, And there's something satisfactory about being done with something.
It's why math is great. It's why puzzles are great, because there is going to be a finish that is a right answer. And very often in the rest of our classes of human school, there's not a right answer.
And so I think we're dreaming about something that we think we don't have, and it's going to give us some type of peace and contentment.
Yes.
And sometimes if we do that, I think it's challenging because we know, we've followed the science too. You know, gratitude is probably the best, some of the best medicine you can prescribe.
Yes.
And we know that if you don't feel the hard parts of your story, you probably won't be as likely to feel the good parts. But sometimes it's tough to identify the good parts if we're moving at the pace that we move.
Mm-hmm.
How do you handle pace? How do you handle the pressure?
I'm such a fast-paced person. I make decisions fast. I drive too fast. I'm built fast. So what my decision has to be in most things, go a little bit slower than you want to. But that is taking work, right? I mean, I'm not sitting here at 25 telling you this. I'm sitting here at 45 telling you this, going like, hey, Miles, I figured out about a year ago that I need to go slower, that my want speed is not always the right speed. And so there are a lot of my friends their want speed is also not the right speed because they need to move a little bit faster. They need to make decisions a little faster. They need to, narrow down and actually do the thing. And I am ready, fire, aim. And so for me, a lot of it comes back to there's wisdom in making slower choices, and things turn out better if I will go just that much slower than I thought. I mean, it does not have to be, I do not have to become a turtle to make a good decision, particularly professionally. I can sit in a meeting. We just did this for 2 days. Our whole company sat around our table for 2 full days and planned out 2026 and the first half of 27. Wow. Now, will we do it exactly?
You planned a full year ahead.
Yeah.
Wow, that gives me
we probably
anxiety.
Won't do it exactly the way we planned it, but it does kind of let us go, when do we want a book to come out? And what do we want to talk about on the podcast? And how much do I want to travel? Because, and you know this from your speaking, you're getting 10 to 12 months advance ask over the event. And so I'm kind of going like, what do I want next summer? And what do I want next Christmas? That kind of thing. I can sit at the table and be like, and I can have all the answers. And then what I'm actually is a dictator. I am not a collaborator with my team. And so professionally, it's really important for me to slow down because that's when I listen. And often there's a better idea at the table than my own. And then because I am the boss, at the end, I get to go, thank you, thank you, thank you. And here's what we're doing. The same is true in my personal life, in my private life, where I can make a real fast decision myself. And in the end, it is my life. And I will make the decision I want to make in the end. On the way to the end, if I will go a little bit slower, there is healing on the way and there is help along the way. And I still get to make the decision I want to make, but I've got help because I went just a little bit slower. And so that's kind of how I have found it. Are you naturally fast paced or are you naturally slower paced?
A little bit of both. I'm a weird anomaly of like I can move slow, but yeah, typically I lean towards, I do a lot and consume a lot and move really quickly and think a lot. I have the perception of being laid back. Like when I tell people I'm ADD, they're really surprised. They're like, you're so calm, you're so connected. And I was like, just look under the hood. I don't have
you do have a cadence, a slower cadence of a person that under the hood is ADD. Yeah, that's interesting.
I've never had the H, somehow that didn't land for me, but I certainly have the 2 Ds.
Wow.
Well, you know what? 1 D. I don't think it's a dysfunction.
Right.
It's a distraction. But I do like what you just said because it's tough. I will say it's tough to do both. It's tough to be the CEO of your company and a CEO of your life.
Yes.
And it's tough to sit down and because we plan ahead too. I've just got people that plan now at OnSite. So we have to have a 12-month calendar. Yep. And the planners do that much better. I'll get in there. They're way too disruptive because I'm thinking about the little granular stuff. So no. We have to get our schedule done.
Yes.
And I don't put that emphasis on my life near as much as I do. I'm getting a whole lot better at it. I'm thinking ahead now in my life about what I want to do. But it's hard to get as granular as calendaring. Like, this is where I'm headed. This is what I'm going to do. I want to check this off and do this and this and this because we're going to get so many curveballs along the way.
Yes.
But you just spoke into it. And you kind of laid it out even before I asked you around the professional side. But there are, I think the number one desired profession among kids and young people is influencer. It's wild to think that, but people are, and when I first heard that, I was like, oh no, that doesn't sound right or sound good, because you think about the negative side of social and all that.
Yeah.
But the reality is the world's changing.
Yes.
We're all communicators. We all got platforms. Technology's changing everything overnight, and people are seeing things that they aspire to, just like we did when we were kids.
Yes.
I know the number of people I spend time or talk to that want to do a lot of things you do. I want to write. I want to speak.
Yes.
I want to start this. Most people have the heart of wanting to do good, which is kind of good. Whether they know what their motive is or not, you figure that out later when you crash a few times. You have started something that continues to kind of grow. Like I know we can't talk about it yet, but recently we engaged with a project that I'm so excited about. It's like the world has been waiting on Annie to do something like this. And who knows? I've learned enough to know you never know how those things are going to shake out. But man, I hope the world gets more of you in that format.
Thank you.
But it's also, you've slowly built and I know some of your team, you've put great people around you. And I think a lot of people would ask the question up front if they wanted some Annie time. It's, if I want to head there, what's important?
Yes.
What are the foundational parts I shouldn't miss?
Yeah. Well, you're right that it's the people you put around you, but at the start, you don't have any money to put anybody around you. And so often when people tell me, so I'll piece it out for just a second. When people tell me they want to write a book, I say, sit down and write a book. Just do it. Get it out of your body. Get as much of it out of your body as you can. You don't need anybody else. You don't need any money. All you need is a computer. You don't even necessarily need a computer if you just need your phone just to start typing. But I think a computer is a better spot for it. But I just open a Google Doc and start going. Get the book, as much of it out of your body as you can. The only place that books really get stopped is from your mind to your hands. Once it's out your fingers, you can, if you have any money, you can hire an editor. If you have any friends, you can make them read it. If you have a mom, you can make her read it. There's just so many ways that once a book is out of your head onto virtual paper or real paper, that it can become something bigger than just a document that's lived in your brain. And so that's always the first thing I say. Now, when I say that to people, I bet you 1 out of 100 actually do it. I go, okay. No one else can get your words out of you except you.
Why 1 out of 100? Why such a low percentage?
I think there's a collection of people that when they ask an author, how do I write a book? They're not actually asking, how do I write a book? They ask, how do I have a career as an author? And they don't want to sit down and write a book. And so then when I say, sit down and write it, they go, ooh, I didn't want to do that. Yeah, I wasn't interested. I wanted to know, how do I Well, that's not what you asked me. You asked me how to write a book, right? So I think there's a collection of that 99 that are that. I think some people still have pain in the way and maybe shame in the way. That
fear.
Fear. When they sit down and they hover their fingers over the keyboard, they start hearing the circus of like, no one cares. No one's going to care about my story. This story already exists. It's not as good as that. I think of people, what's coming to my mind is I think we share a friend, Lisa Turkhurst, who writes really beautifully about her marriage and the betrayal she experienced. And there are other people who go, I wish I could share my story, but Lisa Turkhurst already shared hers. And you go, sis, sit down and write your book. Your book has not been written. There are people waiting to hear your story, because there's one part of your story that's different than what Lisa shared. And that's what there are 18 women waiting to hear if that's part of their story too. And so people hear in their heads, my story won't matter. And it always does. It always, always, always does. So I think that's some of it. And I think there are other people who realize they don't want to do that amount of work. Okay. You've probably done this too. I've walked up to, we did this week. We outlined, I bet we spent 90 minutes on a project that we wanted to launch next year. And we got to end and we were like, I don't want to do that. I actually think that sounds not fun. And I can tell y'all, we're going to get 4 months into this project and I'm going to be bored and I'm the one who has to drive it. So forget it. And we retired it. So you don't have to, so it's not bad for you to walk away from a project you thought you were going to do. Just tell yourself the truth when you're walking away. So I think that's part of it. I think someone who wants a public life, who hopes to use their story through podcasting or speaking or books or any other medium to help other people, start right now. Start, if you have a Facebook, if you have an Instagram, if you have a church in your community, if you have a MOPS group in your community, if you're in a recovery community, if you're in a church, there are a lot of places looking for someone who will stand up for 5 minutes and tell their story. Raise your hand. Say you'll do it. Get on your Instagram today, post a picture of your yard that you just cut and tell people why it matters to you. Like, start now influencing with what you've been handed. Because one of the bigger truths that starts in the Bible, but is kind of plays out all around the world, is the idea of if you're trustworthy with a little, you're going to get handed more. That's how you feel with the people you work with. That's how people felt about you as you were coming up. It's how people felt about me. It's how I feel about my team. When we have someone new join the team, we go, here's what you're in charge of. And they do really well by that. We go, if we gave you a little more money, could you also do this other thing? And usually it's a yes. And so very often, whether that's PTA or in your church or in a recovery group or with your friends, if you will handle well the little bit you've given, and you already said it, handling it well doesn't mean doing it perfectly. Just means doing it and trying. If you will handle well what you've been given, this little bit, you will be given more. You just have to, when the more comes and you're afraid. I mean, you and I have talked about this, Miles, but very often someone will say, hey, do you want to come speak at this event? It's an arena. It's 50,000 people. And you'll be talking for 45 minutes about a thing you do not want to talk about publicly. And I go, yep. And in my head, I'm going, no. I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That is so many people. I've never been in front of that many people. I don't want to talk about that. I've never done a talk that long for that many people. That's what's happening in my head. But what comes out of my mouth? Yes. Yes, I'll do that. That sounds great. Can't wait. Sign me up. And then I panic to my team, right? But and it's not always a yes. I mean, I understand there's other things. Does it not match with your calendar? I mean, of course, there's reasons it's a no, but the principle is when the bigger is put in front of you, it's the moment you go, oh, is this when I was trusted with a little bit and our team did well with a little bit and now we're being handed a little bit more. I should pay attention to that. I should say yes, even if I'm scared. And so if you have 35 people following you on Instagram and you start sharing about what's going on with your physical health maybe, and it feels really vulnerable and you've never talked about this publicly, but you're on a journey to figure out what's going on with your stomach, or you're on a journey to be stronger. You're on a journey to work through a health complication you have. And you go, I wonder if this would help anybody. Can I share from the middle? Can I share wisely? And then all of a sudden you have 55 followers. And then all of a sudden you have 100 followers. And you're just being gifted more influence because you're sharing vulnerably and well, and you will not do it perfectly. I mean, how many times, Miles, I'm sure you've done this too. I have posted stuff on Instagram and like, take it down, you dodo bird. You don't want anybody knowing that.
Weekly.
I did it yesterday. I stopped at the donut shop and I said, this donut's for me because I'm really sad. And these are for my team because we're trying to have a good day at work. And I thought all day, is that too close? Where am I on the line? Is that my private life that I just posted? Or is that me being personal? All day long, I jockeyed back and forth to whether I should take it down. I didn't, but it was a story. So it lasted 24 hours. If it had been a post, I'd have pulled it down. Yeah. But I knew it was a story and it lasted 24 hours. So we're trusted with a little. We don't have to do it perfectly. And then you're handed a little bit more and a little bit more. And suddenly you look around, like you've so kindly said, and you've written a couple of books and you've got a couple of podcasts and you've got an audience hoping to have a better life than they have. And they're hoping I will tell them one thing to do today to give them just a little bit better life. And so yesterday I said, here's my hot tip. Go to the donut shop. It's all right. I don't even eat gluten. And I got me a maple donut. Oh, Fox's Donut Den in Green Hills.
That's it. That's the one. That's your play.
That is it. Listen, if you are anywhere near Nashville and you're any bit sad, go to Fox's Donut Den. Just start there. It will not be the end of your journey to healing, but it will be a good part of your journey to healing.
Yeah.
And so that's, I mean, you can tell me I'm wrong on that, Miles, or correct some of that as you need to, but everyone listening who wants to influence more people, the way you do that is influence who you've been given right now, whether it's the kids in your house or the people who sit around the circle with you on Monday nights.
Or yourself.
Yeah. Lead
Just
yourself
start.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I could theorize with you, and I could do a thesis on why my first book's not out the door yet. But I think that's something I've been learning is like as long as I camp out and analyze the why, I'll always be telling that story.
Yes.
And I can't tell that story anymore.
Yeah.
I want to tell a different story.
Yeah.
And so I would say, do I have an Achilles heel that's been a hang up for me to getting a couple things across? You bet.
Same.
Does it still show its ugly face daily? You bet.
Yeah.
Is it my identity? No. Bring your Achilles heel to the dance.
Yeah.
Whatever it is.
I could say the same thing about me being single. Nobody who's single, let me tell you what no one wants me to say is that they've contributed to their singleness. Do you remember being single and the idea of anybody saying you're a part of that? You're like, no, I'm not. I'm meeting, I'm swiping, I'm da-da-da. I'm single a little bit or a medium bit because of me. Because I bring an Achilles heel to every one of them. And so it isn't just everybody else's that I'm not married. It's me too. And I got to bring my Achilles heel to the dance.
Yeah.
And I'm getting better at doing a relationship. One of them, I hope, ends up with me getting married. But every one of them, I'm getting better at dancing because I'm telling myself the truth that I'm a contributing factor to my life. And I'm telling myself the reason you're a contributing factor is because of pain, because of what you've been through. So let's get that healed and worked on, but bring it all to the dance, like you said.
And then your Achilles heel. I've never seen a marriage without an Achilles heel. Never seen a relationship without an Achilles heel. So it's like whatever you bring, they're bringing it too, and it's that is the DNA that makes one work. A lot of times it makes one not work, but there's never not existent.
My counselor last week said, I was talking through a romantic relationship, and she said, this particular Achilles heel that y'all have, let me walk through all the reasons it's really hard. Ticked them off for me. Very informative because she was zooming out and going like, here's what you can't see, but I've dealt with this Achilles heel 65 times. Let me tell you and she said, and here are the big gifts of it. You get to decide if you want this particular Achilles heel. And she said, hey, but guess what? Every single relationship, we were using different language, but she said, every single relationship has one of these. So if you don't want this one, you're going to get a different one. And then you're going to still assess, here are the gifts and here are the challenges. And I think that is, what a gift, because every relationship's going to have them. There's not one. What I wish would have happened growing up in my life is more of the grown-ups around me, from pastors to small group leaders to parents to teachers. I wish to my aunts and uncles to cousins to grandparents. I wish more people would have said, we have one. We have an Achilles heel. I think it would have helped me as I got into grown-up relationship going, oh, did they not have it? Oh, every one of these I get into has a problem. It's like, yeah, that's true of everyone. Just, I wish it would have been more culturally appropriate or more culturally accepted in the 80s and 90s for grown-ups to raise their hand and share their Achilles heel.
I wish there was even today.
Yeah.
But I do think our parents' generation, they were so busy living it that it was difficult to carve out a voice to describe it. There was a different generation too. It was like what's the point? We got our problems and you can either figure out that we have them and what they are or not.
Yeah.
But to this day, my parents have done so many amazing things. They've never said, oh yeah, our marriage has really been stressed at times. I knew it has. I saw it because I've never seen a marriage that's not stressed.
Yes.
But you have to kind of, and I'm trying to talk about that more because in some days it's the most blissful thing ever, what everybody wants to sign up for. And other days it's a street fight. It's like your first survival.
Yes.
And you're like, oh my gosh, my kids, your wounded self's here, your wounded self's here, and it's all part of the dance. Yes. But I do think that I've got a few things I really, really, really want to do professionally. There's a few things I've realized personally that from a timing standpoint I might not do, and I've come to terms with that and grieved that a little bit. Yep. And I think it's okay to identify the obstacles because if you don't identify them, there are always going to be obstacles. But if I could offer any experiences, be sure not to camp out there and let the obstacles become your identity.
That's right.
Because I did that for a little while with some of the missing things on my professional list is I could give you, again, the whole case study on why it hadn't happened. I was so familiar with it. I was almost like getting reward from telling people about it because it justified it. It made me feel better about this is why you haven't done that yet. And I have felt a little bit, and that's why I don't have a lot to say about it. I'm just learning. If anything, I'm taking notes and from what you said about being an author and all that is I I have to come to terms with being new. That's something, being really clumsy with it. And will I bring the obsessive part of my brain that's an over editing thing in the, you bet.
Yeah, of course.
Will it hang me up? You bet. Will it serve me? Maybe. Might
It
make
will.
a better story.
It will.
And just do it.
But also remember, when you're writing the book, Miles, you're the only one who can write it. There's a gazillion people who can edit it. So get it out of your body and let other people edit it. And the other thing I'll tell you that's true for all of our friends listening, you have not missed the right time. That's the amazing part of all of this, is that we bring our struggles and our Achilles heels. And I have not missed the right man. I have not missed the right books to write. You have not missed the right book at the right time. There have been struggles that have gotten you here, but the amazing thing is that it all works out.
Okay, come on. Now everything changed when you said that. You
It's
just
true,
came alive
right?
with you. It's like you said on that truth so clearly.
Yes.
And is that faith, and where does it come from that that
Yes,
belief?
I think it's some of my faith. And I also think,
lived experience.
It's lived experience, and it is what I hope. It's what I hope is true. It's what I see true in other people's lives, is that it is going to work out. You may not, I don't even say you may not. None of us, we will not get everything we want. We will not get everything we want. That is just full stop. There you go. And also, I have gotten more than I ever deserved. And the delays in my life have played out correctly in the long run, and they have broken my heart. And it will all work out. It is going to be okay.
All divine timing.
That's it. It is all. So the kindness of God, as I understand him, is that he lets me be a human and lets me fumble through some things, and I contribute to my life pretty significantly. And he does not let me miss what he has for me, because that's what I want, is what he has for me. I was at the Met in New York. They have these really huge paintings. I love huge paintings. I think they're incredible. They're like murals that take up an entire wall. I'm like, how does someone do that? How did you paint a human three times your size?
I was just at the Vatican 2 weeks ago and was shocked. I couldn't stop looking up and around.
Unbelievable, right? It's amazing. I have none of those gifts. And so I'm just amazed by it. So I'm at the Met, and I'm walking through, and there are all these portraits, and they're huge. And there are these three friends standing in the 1800s. They're standing by a table, and it's three real people that were painted. And this idea drops in my head. I would have told you it was God in the moment. The idea drops in my head of everything that stressed them out does not matter anymore. They are done getting to risk. I don't even care what you believe about after you die. They're done risking. They're done making decisions. They're done trying. They stood there for that painting as human as me, and they have been dead 200 years. And all of a sudden I was like, it's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. I wonder if they wish they had another shot to be insecure. I wonder if they wish they had another shot to have a road divide and not know which way to go and just jump and guess and try. But now they're just a portrait in the Met. There may be someone's great-great-grandfather, and they may be remembered by name. I'm not a portrait yet. I just 3 days ago saw the road part, and I took the one I thought was best. I don't know. I don't know that it was best. Okay, guess what? It's all going to work out. It's all going to work out. A door did not lock behind me. Sometimes they do. A door did not lock behind me. I'm doing the best I can. I am not a portrait yet. I'm a living, breathing human who is trying. I'm doing the best I can with what I have, and I've got an Achilles heel everyone will see on the dance floor. All right. But I'm not a portrait yet. It's all going to work out fine.
That's so encouraging. And what if our legacy is not what we leave behind? What if it's what we're living into right now?
Right. What if people said about me, I like about Annie, she doesn't make all the right decisions. Wouldn't that be great? I like about Annie, she just doesn't do everything exactly like I thought she would. Great. You're welcome to know me for that. You're welcome to know me for She's pretty human. That's good to me.
And I think it's important for people to hear that. I mean, I feel encouraged by it because I have a deep belief that aligns with that, that things are where they are, they're supposed to be. But I struggle sometimes. I struggle sometimes staying there, not future casting, and think, well, what is it I need to do to manipulate where I need to go to make this happen? And I think there is some truth to that. So if you're sitting and thinking, I'm right where I'm supposed to be, I want to do these things, but I'm just going to hang here until it happens. No, you got to, prayer it's not prayer without action.
That's right.
You got to show up.
You pray first and then,
And then get your boots on and start
That's
walking.
Right. That's right.
So both can be true, but I felt like this huge thing lift when you said that with such truth, when you were like, it's all going to work out.
It is.
Even in the midst of, that's the way I introduced you. I said, you hold grief and
I'm holding it.
joy at the same time.
Yes.
And you don't shy away from either one. I mean, your whole platform is about fun.
Yeah.
It's like, and I think you are really fun.
Yeah,
I mean, you have
you.
that type fun, engaging personality, and you'll tell a sad part of your story.
Yes.
Just like that.
Yes.
No wonder all of us are drawn to
Wow.
Annie Dad.
Well, that's very kind. I just can't imagine a world. You have a real short window of influence if you only tell us what you do right. The ones who have the long window are the ones who are letting us see both sides. Not all of it, not your private life, but they're letting us see their personal life. I want to have a long influence, reminding people it's all going to be okay.
Come on. God, I don't know what else I could say after that. I feel like we just landed a massive plane. It's going to be okay. If you're listening to this podcast, it's going to be okay. I do want to ask you about, because when you came back and visited me at Onsite, you and Kelly one time, and I forget, y'all were working on a project.
We did the book trailer for That Sounds Fun, the book, because there's a whole chapter on, was it That Sounds Fun, or was it Remember God? No, it was That Sounds Fun, because there's a whole chapter on Onsite, and That Sounds Fun.
And you wanted to come back out, and you were working with Lindsay and some of the team at the time, and I said, well, how do we make this experience great? And you said, well, I want to go see the horses.
Yes.
And that's something, obviously, it's been such a spiritual gateway to me, is my relationship with horses. And was it Waylon or?
Yes, Waylon.
Waylon was who you connected with.
Yes. It was wild. I wasn't planning on that. I wasn't planning on having do a piece of work out there at the stables. Horses are so honest. And it's something I learned is your body doesn't lie and horses don't lie. And so, Waylon, do you remember that you kept saying, you don't have to tell him what to do. You can let him lead. You don't have to. And I was like, this is every dating relationship is playing out right here with this one horse. But it's just incredible. I've thought a lot about engaging in that again and just getting it was very healing. We were trying to just shoot a video for the trailer and
turned into an experience.
It did.
Well, I'm biased. I'm a cowboy at heart. I've always been around horses, and I'm around them because I love them, but I love what they represent. But they've also been such a change agent in my life for exactly what you said. I mean, they are the ultimate mirror for truth in our stories and empathy and trust. And I don't remember the details about what happened that day, and you just reminded me of some of it immediately. It came back crystal clear. I just remember we had a really cool experience with a horse I care deeply about, and I'll never forget that. And I think that's what I recall about you whenever I think about any time I've ever sit with you, is I had this really cool experience with Annie. And you curate experiences for people to remember what matters. And I hope every conversation I ever get an opportunity to have with you, I hope I get to be a mirror to remind you how much you matter.
It helps me so much sitting with you. So it is such a gift every time.
Yeah, thank you. And tell me, before we leave, what you're working on that you can tell me about right now. I know one thing that I can't tell you about.
Well, the good news is we don't know when this comes out, so I can just say anything and we can cut what we can't. No. We're going to keep going with the That Sounds Fun podcast. That's one of the first things we do in those meetings that take a couple of days is we do a yes-no list. And we put everything up on the wall. There's nothing that has to be a yes. And so we go, we want to keep doing the podcast? And I do. I love it. I love when my friends meet my friends. And so we're going to go into the next couple of years really working on getting spiritually stronger. So wherever you are in your life, whether you're a spiritual person, whether you are new to spirituality, or whether you'd say spirituality has been a whole part of my life, what would it look like to get a little stronger spiritually? In a world that feels really complicated and you have control over nothing, we do have control over our strength sometimes, physical, mental, emotional. You can do practices that will help strengthen you to handle the world as it is handed to you. And so we want to be a place, I want That Sounds Fun to be a place where people go, in the midst of a world that I don't have a lot of answers for, what's a practice I could do today to get a little stronger? So we're going to lean into that for 1.5 years. And then I think you'll like this. A thing that I have promised my team since 2020 is summer of 2027, we're shutting everything down for the whole summer.
Sabbatical?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
For the whole team, fully paid. And there's a scripture in the Bible that says every 7 years, let the fields rest. And there's a belief system in my job particularly that says if you go quiet, people go away. But you know who doesn't feel that? Adele. Do you know where Adele? Well, you might be friends with her. The most of us don't know where Adele is. We don't know what she's doing. We don't know. She may be writing an album. She may be not. She is not posting on Instagram every day to remind us to listen to her albums, because there is a peace in some creators' hearts that says, if I don't have anything to say, I don't have to say anything. That doesn't live in me. And so we're going to practice in the summer of 27, giving our whole team time to rest and letting the fields rest.
I love that.
Not make anything, not create anything, not announce anything, just hush from us from Memorial Day to Labor Day. And so kind of everything we're building right now is going, how do we get to that well where we're not crawling across the finish line, but we're also not running across the finish line? I don't want us to be like full out sprint of we didn't work hard enough for 26 and half of 27 that we aren't tired. I want us to walk across that line and hug each other and go live our summers and then be ready to come back in the fall. And so everything's kind of pointing toward that. We've got some books that I had never done this before, Miles. I've written 15 books and I've never written one that did not get published. Meaning I wrote a book without a deal that is the deal that ends up getting the book published. And so every other time it's kind of like, hey, I'm going to write these 3 books, and then they just give me a timeline and I go in and write them. This didn't work like that. So I've got a finished book that we are working to see who might want that and how it might help people. The summary is you're going to be okay and everything's going to be okay.
Come on.
And so you don't let anything hold you back. You've got what it takes. And so even as you're saying, like, peace came over me, I kind of went, yeah, that is what I need to be reminding everybody. And so it was a good confirmation today for you to reflect that to me.
That's a timely book.
So we're working on, I feel the same. We've said to publishers, like, they're like, when do you want it to come out? We're like, when do you want it to come out? It's done. Get it edited. Help me make it better. And then let's drop it. So I hope it comes out soon. And yeah, we're working on a new project. Like you mentioned, another area of media that I have longed to get into and really hope that I get to be an influential voice there. I'm kind of the person, I a little bit want to be like, oh gosh, let me think of his name. Sorry. Oh, how annoying to make you do an edit this late in the show. Not Bobby Flay. What's the one who has diners, drive-ins, and dives? Guy Fieri. Okay. I kind of want to be like Guy Fieri, where when you look around a grocery store or restaurants or TV shows, you think, Guy's in that section, like he makes barbecue sauce and he also tells you what restaurant to eat in. I kind of want to be the friend that you're like, anywhere you're looking, you can find me. And so we're working on breaking into some of those other places where right now, if you went looking for your friend Annie, you wouldn't be able to find her. And so we're working on that. And this fall, I'm out on tour with Kane, who's a Christian group, a brother and 2 sisters. And we're kind of building a show. I think you'll like this, Miles. We're building a show that kind of doesn't exist, which is a little scary, but it looks like a variety show. It has some game show moments to it. It has some real serious moments to it. It has a little honoring someone in the crowd moment to it. And I get to kind of be the host and the cruise director. And I've never done anything like 40 cities in 10 weeks.
Wow.
And so we are just, it's your life. If I'm on a tour bus and I'm home, I get home Monday mornings and I bus back out Wednesday nights. I have Mondays off to
setting
rest.
It up like a traditional Nashville tour.
Yeah. And so we're out for 10 weeks from from when we're recording, I'm going out in 2 weeks
I
until
can't wait to
Thanksgiving.
see that. I love variety shows. I don't know,
I
even
think
that
it'll be
example,
really
just-
fun. Yeah, that's what I think I think people will really enjoy it. So I'm always up for building new things, and I'm excited right now because I just came off of a couple of weeks of rest. I had a couple of weeks off in the summer, and I always believe you rest from what you've done, but you're also resting to what you're about to do. And I feel rested and excited to keep building and going, and for as long as I'm trusted with a voice, I will remind people that it's going to be okay. We're going to make it.
We're going to be all right.
make it. We're going to be all right.
Well, if there were so many things we didn't even talk about today that I know you probably talk about on the regular, which is you're a faith-based leader, and I kind of walk in that on that line between I have a lot of people in the secular world that I speak to and influence, and a lot of people in the faith-based world that align with some of my beliefs, and I've always tried to figure out, okay, how do you be invitational with tools that have been super helpful to me without over trying to prescribe something that people might turn people away. And I would just say you didn't get to hear this part today very much, which is kind of cool because people kind of know you for that. They might get to know you a little different today. But if there was ever a voice that feels true and trustworthy, that is going to tell you what you believe but not put it down your throat, you were one of those for me when I was trying to re-engage with certain parts of my faith that I don't even know if I ever told you that part, but that I started listening to pieces of what you talked about. And it was so, maybe it was because you were making it fun but not scared of depth, but it was almost like you could say something that would have historically been activating for me, but it wasn't.
Wow.
You didn't shy away from it, but you made it very attractive and invitational. And that is a gift of yours. So if you've got questions about life, if you just want to have some fun and laugh, if you've got questions about your spiritual life, I think you are a great voice of reason and truth to engage in all kinds of ways people can engage with you, from books to podcasts. But I couldn't encourage you more to jump in and get on the fan train of my friend Annie. This was so fun. Thanks for coming. Fun. Thanks for doing it.
I know you want to have other guests, but we could just do this every week.
No, we could
just
literally.
Annie Miles talk it out every week. No, have other guests. Get some other wisdom. Get some real wisdom. But thank you for having me. Thanks for trusting me with this. I'm excited about what you're making. We have needed this. So thank you for what you're making.
Well, thanks so much for sharing your wisdom with everybody today.
My pleasure.